Welcome to Confrontation of Calling, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of living out your purpose. I am your host, Dianne Reed, and in this show, we're diving deep into the raw truth about confronting, contending for, and confirming your calling. Get ready for real conversations about the highs, the lows, the difficulties, the fears, the triumphs, and the victories about walking boldly in who you have been created to be. No fluff, just the powerful, unfiltered truth and reality of what it takes to thrive in your calling. Welcome to Confrontation of Calling. I am so excited to be doing this podcast with you guys. I want this podcast to be very conversational. So I'm just going to be talking, giving you my stories, inserting the word of God, which is the truth, and just being very vulnerable and transparent with you because I believe so many people can be set free from just us sharing our stories. And telling other people how the Lord has shown up for us in our lives. So, for our first episode today, I will be discussing something I have not had many conversations about. I think the only people who know this about me are really, really close to me, my closest friends and closest family members. Other than that, I have not shared this information with anyone. But today I'm sharing it with you, and by the title of the episode you will absolutely see part of what this story time is. I quit my 6-figure consulting job around this time last year in obedience to the Lord. Now, before I tell you more about that in detail, I want to tell you how I got there, because the how is just as important as the destination. The journey is just as important as the destination. So let's talk about it. So in around, I want to say like 2021, I decided to move back with my parents to New York City. I was living in Pittsburgh at the time. For work. I moved out to Pittsburgh for work, but around 2021, I decided to move back home with my parents in my childhood bedroom. Just because, quarantine happened and now everyone can work from home. So there's no reason for me to be in a state that I currently don't even want to be in. So let me just go back home to what's familiar, what's safe. And so in 2021, I moved back home with my family. And around the same time, I want to say early 2022, I began to get frustrated with the job that I was at. And this is before the 6-figure consulting job. The job that I had in Pittsburgh, I was just growing at a faster rate than what my salary was compensating for, I believed, right? This is my belief. Because of quarantine, we had so much turnover in staff that I began to do the work of multiple people. So I began to just learn things quicker. And at that point, based off of the skills that I learned, I am now working and doing the work of someone who's getting paid more than me. So my salary isn't matching the work that I'm doing or the skill set that I have now through working in this job. So around 2022, while I'm, still with my parents, I'm like, I think I deserve a job that pays me more, because based off of what the market is saying, based off of what, the marketplace is saying, I can get paid more for the work that I'm doing. So let me look for jobs that are paying me more. And it just so happened that, a headhunter on LinkedIn requests my resume and interview, and went through all that process, which landed me into the 6-figure consulting job. Now, around the same time, I kind of rededicated my life back to Christ. So I grew up in church. My father was a deacon. My mom was a deaconess. We were at church, choir rehearsal, all that jazz. I've been in church since I was born. And when I moved away from my family, fresh out of college, for the job in Pittsburgh, I really didn't go to church. I really didn't have a relationship with God. Like, when I was growing up, I knew how to perform for church. I knew how to do the right things and say the right things, but I never really had a relationship with the Lord, to be honest. I did what I needed to do to appear to be good. And I know many of us can understand what that looks like, can relate to that. And that was my journey. I didn't really study my Bible. I didn't really pray other than like right before the bed. I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. But when quarantine hit, of course, all of us were stuck, isolated in our own spaces, forced to deal with things that we didn't want to deal with, whatever pains, whatever issues, whatever questions we had. Now the routine of life can't distract us or allow us to cope with what we're not dealing with. So when I was in Pittsburgh in my, apartment by myself, I had a 1-bedroom apartment. I began to ask the Lord, like, what is my purpose? If the world's really going to end, and this is what it's going to look like, what's my purpose on this earth? Because it can't just be going to somebody's 9-to-5 job, doing this work. I don't mind the work. I'm good at it, but there has to be a bigger plan. So during quarantine and, the 2020, 2021, 2022 period, I'm like really studying my Bible. I'm having conversations with the Lord. I'm praying and just asking questions like, what is purpose? What have you called me to do? And have I been doing that? And as I'm doing that, I'm getting closer to the Lord. Once I moved back to New York, I joined a local church, which I love so much, my Anwa family. And I begin to really offer the Lord my life. And I didn't know how deep that was until later on. I say it's deep because I didn't really know what my prayers really meant when I said things like, Lord, I offer no resistance to what you do to me, through me, and for me. In my head, I thought if I said prayers like that, I would get the things that I want. To be honest, I thought obedience to the Lord directly related to prosperity, because that's what I was listening to before I joined my local church, before I really had community of disciples of Jesus Christ. I thought I obeyed in order to get the desires of my heart. And that's kind of a twisted way to think about it, but that's where I was. Especially when I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm not being valued for the work that I'm doing. Clearly, me being obedient to the Lord allowed me to enter into this new job, this new opportunity where I'm making 6 figures and having this prosperous life. Because with 6 figures comes, the opportunity to travel, the opportunity to, go out and be amongst the who's at the bars and the places and rub shoulders with, CEOs and things like that. But when I actually started my consulting job in 2022, things were fine. It was something new. So, you have that new job excitement because it's still things that you're learning. You have to get comfortable with, new people. And the more I started working in that job, the more I realized I was not fully fulfilled. And it was perplexing for me. It was confusing, because I thought the whole idea for me going to college, getting my degree, and doing all the things were to get to that 6-figure salary job and travel the world. And that's the American dream. That's the dream. That's the dream that my immigrant parents worked for. Good job, be there for 40 years, retire, travel the world. And I had all those things, and yet I'm still unsatisfied. So there has to be more. There has to be more. And the more I started getting closer to the Lord, the more he revealed himself to me and myself to myself. So here I am, talking to the Lord, learning more about his character, learning that he is indeed my father, who loves me and truly accepts me. And I'm like, well, do I really love him? Do I really love the Lord? Do I really care about what he cares about? Do I really do the things that he wants me to do? Like the Bible talks about how you show that you love the Lord through obeying his commands. That's how you love the Lord. You obey his commands. I began to reflect on whether or not I have been living my life for myself, or have I been living my life for other people, for other people's expectations, whether it's family, society, friends, or have I been really living my life for the Lord? And what the Lord started to reveal to me was that I was living my life for other people. I was living life for what my parents desired for me. Good intentions. They want me to be stable. They want me, to have their version of stability, which is the 6-figure job, the nice house, the family, all those things. And I wanted them for myself too, because that's what society says we need. Society says we need the money, the material, in order to prove that we actually have accomplished in life. And the more I got those things, the more I realized it doesn't satisfy the soul. I started to crave more. It's like, oh, I got the 6-figure, but like, there's more 6 figures to be made. So now I'm pushing myself to do work that I don't fully enjoy at this point, probably a year in. I don't fully enjoy, and I'm trying to measure up to a standard that I can't live up to. A standard of perfection, a standard of always achieving in order to prove that I'm doing life the right way, according to culture, according to opinions of others, according to myself, because I want to be able to brag on myself of like, I have the job, I have the car, I have the whatever. And the more I started stripping myself of the desire to please other people, the desire to please my family, my friends, people around me, and really just wanting to please the Lord, because I realized that if God loved me so much that he gave his only son, Jesus, to die for my sins, a death that I deserved for my sins, and resurrected him from the dead so that I can have power over my sins and have authority and be reconciled back to him as Father. He loves me so much that he created this redemption plan for me. Of course, why would I not serve him? Why would I not live the life that he created me to live? He's my creator. Elohim is the creator of all things, including me. So, of course, he has the best design for me. He has the best plan for me because he created me for a purpose, ultimately to glorify him. And the ways in which I do that are unique to me because he gave me specific gifts and talents. And am I really using those gifts and talents to really glorify him? Or am I using those gifts and talents to feed my own ego? Or to feed my own reputation so that people will have this perception of me? I did not realize how much of my life I was living, I was living for other people. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. I did not realize how much of my life I was living for other people. Even the standard that I had for myself came from other people's expectations. So, as I continue to find out more about who God created me to be, more and more opportunities came up for him to reveal himself to me and to reveal myself, and for him to reveal myself to me. So here I am getting opportunities to speak on stages and to be in rooms that I never expected myself to be in because I had a perception of myself. I was the numbers person. I went to school for mathematics. That's what my degree is in. I'm not a writer. I'm not a speaker. Like, I don't do these things. And here I am with the podcast speaking to people. And I would have never fully, and I'm still learning to do such, I would have never fully seen myself this way if I first didn't see God in all of who he is. And he continues to reveal himself to me. So back to the story. So I am learning, what it is to fully surrender and give all of my life to the Lord, because I truly believe that in his hands, all things are good. So why would I try to control my own life if the sovereign king has a plan for me, has a roadmap for me that I can follow and have security in him and stability in him and know that I'm on the right path because I'm following him? So the more that I'm doing this, the more the Lord is asking me to obey him in little ways. It's like now I'm apologizing to people that I don't necessarily need to apologize for. And I say that because when I actually apologized to them, they were like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even receive it that way. But it was for the Lord to deal with my heart. So the more I started obeying him in the little things, apologizing, to people for my poor position of heart, like my heart posture was in the wrong place. I'm obeying him in that. I'm obeying him in giving my tithes above what, my salary is, like the 10% that is required of my salary. I'm starting to obey him in conversations, and they were very difficult. Like the first, yes, it's very difficult, and it was very difficult for me in those spaces because, one, I can be honest and say that I'm working through issues with pride. Like, pride is a very comfortable place to be in. I was leaning on my own understanding in many ways, which is prideful. Choosing not to lean on the Lord's understanding and solely putting your trust in yourself is prideful. It's self-idolization. And that's where I was in life. I want my version of dreams. I want my version of what money should look like in the bank. I want my version of what relationships should look like. I want all of those things. And the more I started to obey the Lord, the more I realized that his perspective and his want for me is better than mine. So I'm doing that in the years of 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And I began to get frustrated at my job. I'm like, this is not even satisfying. Like, and I said it before, like, I'm making the money, I'm going the places, and I'm still unsatisfied. Like, Lord, what do you really want me to do? Who have you really created me to be? And in 2024, that's last year at this point. No, sorry. Yeah, at the end of 2023. That's why. At the end of 2023, the Lord tells me, well, here's what happens. I am on my way to a holiday party for my job at the time, the consulting job. And at the time, I'm so frustrated with this particular client and how my firm has handled me without care. I became very frustrated. And what I said was, if this job doesn't give me anything, they're going to give me some free food and some free, free stuff at this holiday party because I done put the work in and the time in. And what happened was I was on my way to downtown New York, to the location for the holiday party, and I'm driving, and my phone says no SIM. Like, it won't register my my playlist. It won't register my GPS, and I'm literally on the highway to this place. Luckily, I know where I'm going by this time, so I can use it without the GPS. But I'm like, what happened to my phone? I've never seen this thing that says no SIM. So that means I have no service. I can't make calls, texts, and I have no Wi-Fi. I have no data. So I just say, once I get to the location, I will, do that little earring trick to get the SIM card, blow on it like a Nintendo cartridge, and hopefully it starts working again. And that was my plan. And I'm looking for parking. I make a right, and I end up in the Lincoln Tunnel heading to New Jersey. Now, for those of you who don't know New York and New Jersey, the Lincoln Tunnel is a one-way tunnel, so you're kind of underground. It's one way heading to New Jersey, and I have no way of making a U-turn. I don't know New Jersey either. So in my head, I'll just get off at the next exit, go on the other side of the highway, end up back on the other side of the Lincoln Tunnel. So mind you, at this time, my GPS is not working. So I don't know where I'm going. So I'm just like, logic is get off at the next exit and go get on the other side at the next exit. But the way New Jersey works, beautiful city, stupid planning, urban planning. When you get off in an exit, you end up on another highway. I'm like, how am I on another route, another highway, and I just exited off a highway? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So now I'm stuck. No phone working at all. I can't text, GPS not working. And I'm just like, Lord, what is going on? If you didn't want me to go to this holiday party, why would you send me? Like, why would you allow me to leave the house? Why would you allow me to leave my parents' house, the comfort of it, for me to go to this holiday party and get stranded in New Jersey where I have no idea where I'm going? So I'm driving and I see two signs. It's either Hoboken or I think Jersey City. And I'm like, I don't know where to go. So I try to pull off to a gas station to try to do the SIM card trick, take out the SIM card, blow on it, maybe something will happen. I can't even get the SIM card out of my phone. It won't come out. So I hop back on the highway and I'm just like, Lord, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? And I'm being so serious. The words I heard were, why are you going to a holiday party to be with people you will not work with in the next month? And I said, well, hey, I didn't know I wasn't going to work with these people. And why you choose to tell me that now? Like, you could have told me that in my house, in my parents' home. You could have told me this before I ended up in New Jersey without any GPS. And I'm just like, okay, so clearly I'm not going to be working here. Okay, that's cool. How do I get back home? So I just start asking, like, at this point, Lord, where do you want me to go? 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 Like, over and over, because I have no idea how to get home. I am literally stranded with no phone. No phone that is working. And the more I kept asking, the more I began to break down. It's like, Lord, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? I have no idea where I'm going. And I didn't realize until now how deep that statement is. I had no idea where I was going. I had no idea where I was going in life. And the more I asked him, I hear my playlist pop back up. I see my playlist pop back up on my dashboard. And I see the name of the song I was listening to. And I'm like, oh, that means my data's working, because I'm using one of the apps. And I'm like, oh, it's on. It no longer says no SIM. Now it says, the LTE and all of that. And I'm like, God, you're funny. You gave me access to my phone, access to my GPS, and you just wanted me to ask you where to go. And I keep asking him, and then the words I hear are, to the ends of the earth. I'm like, all right, this is mighty deep. All I wanted to do was get home. And, I don't have to go to nobody's holiday party. Like, it didn't have to be this deep. And he says it again, you follow me to the ends of the earth. And I began to break down, which is kind of unsafe driving. Like, no one talks about being in full tears when you're driving. It's unsafe because your vision's blurry. So I just put in my phone, the directions to my house. Because at this point, I'm not going to the holiday party. He done told me I'm not going to be around these people. So why even go there? So I began to have a conversation with the Lord. And long story short, he tells me in the next upcoming weeks that I should prepare to quit my job and move out of my parents' house. Now, y'all know New York City is an expensive city. And here the Lord is telling me to quit my job and to increase my bills, which is apartment, electric, all the things that come with that, plus my car note, insurance, like all the things. It's like, how do you expect me to maintain this thing that you've called me to buy this house, or not a house, to rent this apartment, this apartment. In Jesus' name, the house will be bought eventually. But to rent this apartment while still having my car that you also told me to get, and also quit my job. Like, it doesn't make sense. And the more conversations I had with my mentors and with my, community, it's like, oh, the Lord's asking you to live in faith. Live in faith. Walk by faith, not by sight. Of course, it's not going to make sense. Of course, the resources don't seem like they're there. The Lord is asking you to walk by faith, and the just walk by faith. That's the truth. So, if you really love the Lord, and if you really want what He wants for you, you walk by faith. The reason we even become Christians is by faith. We believe that Jesus is Lord by faith. Like, through our faith, we are reconciled back to Him. But no one talks about what it looks like to live a life of faith. My parents have never quit a job to be self-employed, because that was the other thing. I was also, as you see here, building my business. Confrontation of Calling is my brand. And the Lord is telling me, yeah, focus on that. Come away from your parents. Be independent. And do the things that I have called you to do. So, 2024, because that was the end of 2023. 2024, January, I give in my 2-year resignation. 2-week resignation. Not 2 years. 2-week resignation. And even my supervisor's like, I was not expecting this. Like, you're on track for promotion. What are you doing? It's like, in my head, I'm like, I'm trusting God. And what I say is just, it's my season to focus on my business, which is what the Lord told me. So I quit my 6-figure consulting job with a track to promotion to obey the Lord. And the reason I did it is, like I said, I trust that the Lord's ways for me are better than what I can conceive myself. Because I tried it my way and it didn't work. I tried it my way and it was very unsatisfactory. It's unsatisfying. I had no sense of fulfillment doing that job. And I trusted, even though I could not see how the Lord would do it, I trusted that He will make a way. So this is about a year of me being fully self-employed. And what I can say is that the Lord has always met every need. Every need has been provided for. So, my question to you is, are you willing to obey the Lord even when it doesn't make sense? Because you heard my story. It didn't make sense. I'm adding bills and losing income. But what the Lord was trying to show me, and is continuing to show me, because I'm still in it, is that He is source. He gives me the strength to make wealth. That's what He told the Israelites. He gives me the ability to make wealth. I can't do anything outside of Him and truly be satisfied and truly be successful and truly be fulfilled. What I'm not saying is, hear me, what I'm not saying is quit your job. Because that may not be your faith journey. What I'm not saying is move out of your parents' house if that's not what the Lord has told you to do. What I am saying is listen to what the Lord is telling you to do and do it. So, like I said, I'm always going to bring us back to the Word of God. Abraham, before he was Abraham, was Abram. The Lord in Genesis 12, I have my Bible here. In Genesis 12, calls him. The call of Abraham. The call of Abram. So this is before he has his name changed. The Lord said to Abram, go from your land and your relatives and your father's house to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse anyone who treats you with contempt. And all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you. This was the call of Abram. This was the Lord calling Abram away from the familiar of his family, of his homeland, of his relatives, and calling him into a land that the Lord is providing to Abram. And it comes with promises. I will bless you. You will be a blessing. You will bless nations through you. And what I will say is that tied to your obedience are promises from the Lord. And sometimes it takes us walking in faith, walking in obedience, walking and trusting Him over the opinions of others, over the opinions of our family, over the opinions of our friends and community and our society. We have to trust Him over everything, because He is the only one who has an eternal perspective. God is eternal. He lives outside of time, which means He's seeing this version of you, the future version of you, and the past version of you at all times. He is seeing everything at once. So why not trust the one who has seen the end from the beginning, who is the end and the beginning, the one who loves you unconditionally, the one who has thoughts towards you for a hope and a future. He wants good things for you. He's a good father. Why not trust Him? So I want you to reflect on the areas of life where the Lord is asking you, hey, trust me with this. Trust me with your children. Trust me with your finances. Trust me with your thought pattern. Trust me with your physicality. Trust me. Trust me. The Lord is asking for His people to trust Him. The Lord is asking for His people to trust Him. We walk by faith and not by sight. We walk by what we hear from Him, not by what we see in front of us. Are you willing to trust Him? Because I can guarantee you, from someone who has lived and is currently living through it, this is a life of faith. I can tell you that He has everything that you need, because He is everything that you need. He is provider. He is source. He is joy. He is peace. Everything you need can be found in Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the light. and the life. That's what he is. That's what he is. That's who he is. So everything else that we have used to take the place of who he is will never satisfy. That's why obedience to Christ is so important. Because you will never find satisfaction in anything else but him. But we can trust him because we know who he is. We know who he is. So, I gave you a little bit of my story of obedience. I will continue to share with you the pieces that the Lord allows me to share. But I can tell you it has not been easy. Let's be very frank. Some days it has been so difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But what that was revealing to me is how much I trusted in myself, how much I trusted in other people, how much I trusted in material instead of Christ. And you know what those are called? Idols. I had an idol for the way I manage my money. I idolized my job because I thought that was the way for me to gain wealth instead of the Lord, who gives me everything that I need. I idolized people's opinions of me, and I'm still working through it. I idolized my intelligence, the way I did things. That's pride. Thinking that I have more wisdom than the one who created everything? Who am I? And yet, the Lord still loved me enough to continue to strip me of all of those things so that I can reflect him and be everything that he created me to be. I want you to fully reflect on who the Lord is calling you to be. Because what he'll do, he'll call you to himself before he'll call you to do anything. Because he loves you. He doesn't just want to use you. He can use anything. He uses donkeys. He uses the wicked. He uses anything, but he wants to be in relationship with you, with us, which is why he calls us. He'll never force himself on you. He's calling you. And take this as an example, as a reminder that the Lord is calling you. He's calling all of you, all of your past, all of your he's calling all of you, because in his hands he can heal you of those traumas. He can save you, free you from your past. And then from there, you can live freely as he created you to live and to be. So, that's a little bit of my story. Yes, I quit my 6-figure consulting job to obey the Lord because I trust him. Because I trust him. Even when it doesn't seem like the resources add up. Even when it seems like it does not make sense. But here I have evidence in his book, in the Bible, in his word, of people who did the same thing. Abraham left. He didn't know where he was going. Abram, before he was Abraham. He didn't know where he was going. The Lord said, I'll show you the land. And he just started moving. What? You mean I don't need to know everything in order to obey? What? You mean I really don't have to know where the resources are coming from or how they're coming? I just need to obey? I just need to trust in the one who is source? What? This is a new way. It's not even new. This is a new way to us of how to live life. But this has always been the life of a disciple of Jesus Christ. Leave your father and mother and follow me. Leave your possessions and follow me. Give away all your possessions and follow me. These are the things Jesus has told people in the Bible. And hear me. I'm not saying to do all those things. Do what the Lord has told you to do. What the Lord was doing, what Jesus was doing, telling people to leave their father and mother or leave their possessions. He was revealing their idols, because if they were not able to relieve themselves and remove themselves from their opinions of their parents or from their possessions, their false idea of stability, then they trust more in those things rather than him. And he wants a full surrender. He wants a full trust. And he has equipped us with his Holy Spirit to give us the power to do that. But you have to decide. We have to decide that the love that we have for Jesus is greater than the risk of the world. And this is the life that we're going to be called to live 2025, moving forward. We're living a life of faith. Don't put your trust in materialism. Don't put your trust in anything else but Christ, because everything else is sinking sand. He is the solid rock. And when you're confronted with the version of yourself that he's calling you to be, the person that he has always created you to be, you will feel like you are moving into unstable ground. But the truth is, he is the most stable ground. So I hope this has been an encouragement to you. I feel like this is a good place to end. Come back next week for another episode. I am so excited to journey with you. We're going to be talking about the real deal of what it looks like to live a life of faith, of what it looks like to live fully and authentically in who God has created you to be. Because it's not easy, but it is simple. There are some principles that absolutely work. And I want us all to be living and thriving in who God has created us to be. No longer are we fearful of the risk, because our faith in God, our faith in Jesus Christ is greater than any fear, because perfect love casts out all fear, and God is love. So God, obedience to him, relationship with him, intimacy with him will start to cause all those fears first to rise. But that gives him an opportunity and gives us an opportunity to present it to him so that he can show us that he's still the God over our fears. I have loved talking to you guys. I will see you guys next week. Be sure to come back for our next episode. I love you deeply, and know that you are indeed loved. You are indeed chosen and worthy of the call, because God says you're worthy. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.